Now see.
Forget it was a tough series. Both clubs riding each other, doing everything to get each other's goat.
A time with Art.
Welcome to A Time with Art, and we'll be talking today with Interim Athletic Director Tom Higbee. And Tom and I go way back to Sandlot football over at the South Elementary. Anyway, so we're going to talk about how you got this opportunity to move in as the athletic director on an interim basis. And I think there are some people who would like you to stay and do it. I keep hearing good things. So tell me about how that happened and how it came about.
Well, yeah, and I hope it's going well. We're trying hard, but just a little background kind of leads up to that. I was a lifelong supporter of SUU Athletics, as you mentioned, going back to the Sandlot days on 700 West and South Elementary, and have continued to be a booster and supporter and fan of the program since. The timing worked out where I was just finishing up some duties as a judge and ready to fully retire, and President Benson, kind of out of the blue, I mean, it was really like out of the blue, invited me over to her office, not knowing what it was all about.
What was going on?
Of course, I know the president and served on a couple of committees, so it wasn't all that unusual to visit with her. And out of the blue, invited me to be the interim athletic director. So, yeah, I'm on for 1 year, and that'll be it. There won't be any more after that. So, in this 1 year period, we'll find a new athletic director that'll be awesome, and then he or she will take it from there, and I'll retire for the third time now, or is it the fourth time? Anyway.
Either way, it's fun to do what you're doing.
Oh yeah, it's a great job. I mean, who wouldn't want? Who wouldn't want the job? Right?
And there's a lot of good travel, but also many issues because you have so many coaches you deal with on a regular basis, and I know you know a lot of them already, and so that helps. Yeah,
I do know a lot of the coaches, and have gotten to know the others. Of course, I've been here now 3 months, and there are a lot of moving parts in an athletic department. It's been really eye-opening. I mean, I guess if I would have studied it and thought about it, I would have realized it, but never had occasion to do it. But there are a lot of moving parts, and you deal with coaches and the players, and compliance is a huge thing, and finance is a huge thing, and fundraising is a huge thing, and facilities planning, and you've always got to be. If you're not kind of on the edge moving forward, you're going to be left behind. And so there's always on every front, finances, fundraising, facility, and throughout the whole list, there's always what you're doing today and what your plan is for tomorrow, and how you're going to get it implemented. So, yeah, it's a very challenging responsibility. You've got great people, so that makes it easier. But yeah, it's a lot.
So you got right into the fire about the time the football season was going to start, maybe a few weeks before that.
Yeah, I started on July 15th, and I think football, volleyball, the most immediate one was volleyball. I was one of the first things I did is hire Coach Jensen as the volleyball coach, and she's been awesome, and I think I started on the 15th of July, and I think volleyball's first report was like August 2nd or something like that. I'm sure I'm off by a day or two, but somewhere in there. So like they were just getting there, just getting ready to get started, and kind of dove right into that. And then football just very soon after that, within a week or two after that. So the fall sports hit, and man, it was like off and running. Here we are, July 15th, and away we go.
And here we are, October 24th.
October.
And you get to make the trek to St. George with the football team this weekend.
We're going to St. George tomorrow. Yes, we are. Yeah.
And if I call them Dixie, and don't, Utah Tech is still foreign to me. But
yeah, those of us that grew up in Cedar City, and especially if we had friends and family that went to Dixie, or that, we all know people at Dixie. It is the adjustment's been a little roll off the tongue. I think Utah Tech has a nice ring, and they're a great school, and it's getting more comfortable, the Utah Tech.
Yeah, and when I did the games down there, the football stadium was not anything compared to what it is now.
Yeah,
there were some bleachers on the side closest to the stand, and they had the bleachers, but they weren't like they are now. They've really done a good job there. Yeah. And of course, Ken Beezer is there now.
Yeah, I've had a chance to cross paths with Ken a few times since I've had this assignment. Yeah, he's former SUU athletic director.
He was here for a number of years, but then decided to go down there and in development. I think he started out.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about where you came from and how you got where you did into the law school issue and how that was. And then I kind of want to know a little bit about your family.
Okay.
Because I know Corey really well.
So,
go ahead.
So I grew up in Cedar City, and like we talked about, your house and my house were kitty corner across the back fence, and you're a little older than I am.
About 5 years.
5 years-ish, but of course, when you're that close to neighbors, the family, you know each other. I know your dad, know your mom, know all your family, Paul and Root.
Was he the scoutmaster when you were going through?
No, Wendell Heaton was the scoutmaster when I was in that neighborhood.
All right.
Wendell's the only one I remember. I mean, that's a long time ago.
Morris Church was before that.
Morris Church was before that. Then Wendell Heaton.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any others. I knew Morris, and he and I had some interaction, in the neighborhood and with Russ and Randy in the group. But so that's where we grew up. 640 West was my street. 580 West was your street.
Right.
South Elementary, Cedar High School, 1971, and then I graduated from here with a degree in English Lit, strangely enough, which turned out to be a really good major for law school. I mean,
all the writing you have to do.
That's right. I mean, the law school separates good writers from poor writers fairly quickly, and so does the practice in some ways. I mean, there's a million different avenues to practice law. There's lots of different options, but if in one of those areas where writing is part of it, being a good writer makes a difference, and that's a lot of what I learned as an English Lit major. And then went to law school at the University of Utah, graduated in 1980. I practiced at a big firm in Salt Lake for a year, which I really, really liked. Ray Quinney and Nebeker was the name of the firm. Mm-hmm. And I liked the practice, I liked the work, I liked the people, but Salt Lake was just a little too big. And it's a nice big city, and I like Salt Lake. I think we all do, but it was good to get home. My friend and law partner, Hans Chamberlain, invited me down to work with him, and so I'm kind of said no at first, and then after a little consideration, here I am, and came back in 1981, and I've been here for 45, almost 46 years since then.
So when you first came, did you move into the Spilsbury and Graff mortuary
for a short time? Those that have been around for a while will remember that right where Lynn's is now was a federal savings and loan. Was it Prudential Federal, maybe something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
And they had an office that a little. And forgive me if I've got the name wrong there. That's a long time ago, but they had an office building there, and we were Kent Corey, Hans Chamberlain, and I were downstairs in that office building, and there were two law firms there, Chamberlain, Corey, and Higbee, and Park, Braithwaite, and Eves. Mike Park, Phil Eves, and Bob Braithwaite were right across the back hall. So we were there until 1985, and we bought Spilsbury and Graff Mortuary in 1985 at 250 South Main and moved up there, and then Hans and I practiced law there from, like I say, we started together in 1981, and then he left, I think it was in 95 or 96 to be a judge, and then I left in 2001 to be a judge, and then I was a judge after that here in 5th District, which is Iron Beaver in Washington counties. The first 9 years I was assigned in St. George. I always lived in Cedar City, and honestly, movement never really crossed my mind. I was kind of a Cedar guy through and through, and so I commuted 9 years every day to St. George. And then when the judging assignments were rearranged, then I ended up in Cedar City. So and finished out the last 9 years here.
Well, you also didn't you do juvenile work, or was that Hans that did that? Yeah,
both of us did.
Both of you.
Okay. Both of us did. Yeah, in Utah, you primarily, both of us were primarily assigned in the juvenile court, but we also you can take assignments in other courts as well. And so I had primarily a juvenile court judge, but always had an assignment or two for 8 or 6 or 8 cases in the district court with we might call ordinary civil stuff, water rights and land disputes and divorces and those kind of things. So we did it all.
We had a nice room up upstairs. I remember being in committee meetings. I don't know what it was, but with you and others in the community, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But a lot of things go on in these law offices, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And you rely a lot on some of the people who work with you. And,
Yeah.
and they have to be good writers too, don't
They do. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We have, there's occasionally find a lawyer that just kind of does it all by themselves. I mean, we'll toss out some names that very few will remember, but Orville Isom, who was also in our neighborhood, Pat Fenton. I mean, they had some staff, but it was mostly just them.
Mostly them. Yeah.
But nowadays you kind of got to have a staff. My whole practice from 1980 to the time I retired, you got to have people, and we had a lot of stuff goes on in those law offices. And then to continue the story, I retired in 2018. Then we had some church assignments. We served my wife and I served an LDS mission in Russia. We lived in Russia for 18 months, which was like, that'd fill an hour to talk about that. Came back and had another assignment that took me full time for 3 years, and then went back into judging for a couple of years as a senior judge, which Utah law allows to cover like conflicts for the full time judges, and then just getting ready to retire. And then, like I mentioned, then Minnie invited me over. So that's the full circle of my progression from law student from SUU student to here I am.
So were you and your wife high school sweethearts?
We were, actually. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, we started dating when I was a junior, and she was a senior. She was a year older than me. So she was a cheerleader. She was the trophy wife, and so
and
so we started dating, and then
when the older person wears the head that children will not want for bread. Is that the?
I've heard that. I have no idea what.
I don't know what that really means either, but it's a fun one. Yeah, and I knew her older sister Joan. She was in our class in '66, so 5 years before you were there.
Yeah, she's still doing well in Salt Lake. So.
Is she? And talk about your family a little more. I know you. I know Corey, but
So growing up, it was me and two sisters. My sister Kathy's 2 years younger than me. My sister Chris is 6 years younger than me. They both live in Salt Lake area, doing really well. It's been good. My folks have been gone for a while, but I have five boys. As you mentioned, Cora, my oldest, is your son, Sean's age. So. Same high school class, and they were good friends growing up. So Corey's the oldest. I won't tell you how old they are, but they're makes us old.
Well, I think Sean's going to be 51 this year in December.
When your boy's 50, it makes you old, makes you feel old. And then Mike lives here in Cedar City, and Jeff lives in St. George, Eric, Salt Lake, and Kevin, Orem. So basically 5 of them scattered from Vegas to Salt Lake, South Jordan, actually, and.
Well, Jeff in St. George, I think Sean's son played a little baseball with one of his kids. So things just continue, don't they?
They do, yeah. Jeff was a really good athlete. All the boys are really good athletes, and so they're still involved. Jeff coaches basketball and baseball down in St. George, and so he still sees a lot of the Cedar crew, that's moved to St. George, and Mike sees a lot of the Cedar crew that stayed here in Cedar City, and he does some involvement with his kids' teams as well. So like you say, generation.
Corey is in Las Vegas.
He's in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in '93 when they graduated, Vicki and I and Corey and Sean and my little girl Erin, who's now 44. But anyway,
your baby girl.
We went on a tour. We left Cedar City in the late evening and drove all the way to Oakland because they wanted to see Ken Griffey Jr. play a baseball game. And we went to that game, and I don't remember if it was that one or later. We were in Los Angeles a few days later.
Right.
And they had seats right on the third baseline as we scalped a couple of seats for them. And then we were sitting up in the upper echelons of the stadium, but always loved going
I seem to remember that. I have a vague recollection of that trip. Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw Ken Griffey Jr. play. And
playing for the Mariners, I guess, at the time.
Yeah, we got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and Seattle was playing Oakland. And then we went the next day. My brother-in-law lived in Fremont at the time, so we stayed there with them, and then we did the San Francisco Giants. They played a game. because the Oakland was going on the road and then San Francisco, so we went there. So we picked up those two, then drove down the coast and got to Los Angeles like an hour before the game. And as I said, got those tickets. You used to be able to just, buy them.
Sure.
Nowadays.
Especially in the outfield.
Yeah. And they were right there on the third baseline. I have a picture of Sean and Corey together.
I'll be darned.
I'd have to show you that sometime. Yeah. But yeah, that was a good trip. And Erin stayed in Fremont with her cousins there, and we drove down the coast. And seems like we met my mom and dad at Disneyland on that same trip. So that was a lot of fun for those two guys and for us.
Like I say, I vaguely remember that trip, and you can bet I'm going to ask Corey about it before the day's over.
Yeah. Well, it was like over 30 years ago.
He'll remember.
He'll remember.
He's, every kid has their own personalities, but he remembers details especially about sports. He knows a lot of other trivia too. He does, like crossword puzzles every day and all that. He's that kind of, takes enjoyment out of those things, and he'll remember every detail about that, guaranteed. He'll remember who got what hits, who pitched.
And it seemed like in a Little League game, at the American Little League against the National Little League, that both he and Sean hit home runs against Brandon Clark, who pitched for the National League. And I don't think Sean's ever forgotten that.
Corey was in the National League. He played for. He was a Lions.
Yeah,
he was a Lions. So
they played together, but maybe he was on that team.
It could have been. Mm-hmm.
They were 12-year-olds at the same time.
Right. Yeah, they were.
I remember your dad too. Commercial Credit.
Yeah,
Wes Higbee.
My dad, Wes. Yeah, he's been gone a long time. He died in 1997, but he was like one of the quiet pillars of the community. He wasn't out and about in a lot of things, but just quietly was just an awesome guy, as you know, because you knew him. But
he was a great financial advisor
he
too.
was.
Even though he didn't have that title, that's what he did for his work.
Yeah, and he did a lot in the ward, in the neighborhood, and then he helped a lot of people just figuring out their finances. And so it's
we used to play blue ball in the backyard. I don't know if you ever got involved with some of that. Maybe later on with Paul and John and those guys, but we would hit it over the fence into Pace's yard. And I think he had a collection of our blue balls because we didn't dare go in that yard.
It was always a little iffy to go across that fence.
That's right, and we lost.
And it's still the same today. When my grandkids now hit balls, it depends on which direction they hit it over the fence, whether they decide to challenge and go get it. So it's.
Well, you served in the church in a lot of capacities, but the 7th, 9th Ward Chapel.
Yeah, I did.
That we built is now gone,
and that's funny. I have a vague recollection
of that,
of going with my dad.
Yeah,
and I think that was in the early '60s. I would have been maybe 10.
It was about, I think they opened it in 64.
Yeah, so maybe I would have
a little older than that. So a couple of years to build it, because back then it was...
Could have been 11 or 12, but anyway, old enough that I have, back in those days, the members, the neighbors would build it. So they'd have, a general contractor there to direct it, as I recall. And you just kind of do the labor. And I remember they were doing concrete, and I didn't have any role in that, but I don't remember your dad specifically, but I remember the neighborhood people that I knew, generally, and my dad working that mud, with under the direction of somebody.
Well, that experience, I think
we built that church.
That's true, and now it's gone.
Now it's gone,
and the 2nd Ward Chapel's gone too. When we first came here in '59, we lived in a house. There was one on the corner, and then right next door to it, and they rented that out to faculty members who needed somewhere to stay till they could figure it out. And it was right next to the chapel, but all that's a parking lot now too.
It is.
Yeah, so things change.
Things change. Yeah, and then when we first came back to Cedar City, we lived in the house just right off the corner of that church, right across the street from the tennis courts, and that's gone as well, with making room for the new student housing that's there.
And the old tennis courts were down the hill. And they remember the Quonset huts they had for some of the student housing.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, I've told others that I've talked to on this podcast about me throwing a touchdown pass to you in a game, a big neighborhood game. And I remember I was there and they were pressuring me and I just launched it and you ran right under it and caught it and we won the game.
I don't remember that specifically. I remember a lot of games. I don't remember where that one was, but let me tell you where I remember games.
Okay.
I remember games at the South Elementary right across the street from
That's where
the
it
bottom
was.
of your house.
Yeah.
We had a lot of them there. And
Yeah.
we had kickball, dodgeball. Yeah, dodgeball wasn't
against
there,
the
though.
fence. Over
So
there.
I guess is the game kickball where it's like baseball, only you kick the ball
You kick the
instead
ball
of,
and then
instead
you
of a
run
baseball
around.
and bat and then
Yeah.
run around. Remember kickball games there, football games there. I remember them in the front yards of 640 West, especially. I remember if the Shaw family. Kathy Ward was about your age, where she lived, and from Matt Clark's house to the end of the street was wide open, or no fences, and so we'd play from Matt Clark's house to the top of the street. You just right across the sidewalks and driveways and everything, but there were trees, but there were no fences, so that was wide open.
The trees were small. Now
the trees were small now.
huge.
Now they're huge. So we'd play football games there. And I remember playing them down at that church, at the 7th, 9th Ward Church. We used to sometimes, depending on who we were playing with, we'd go there.
Yeah.
And I have a vague recollection of playing in mostly baseball, as I remember, behind Mike Levitt's house with
that field
that
was
group,
there.
with the Cardins, who at
Yeah.
that time lived over at a different house over on 500 West.
Uh-huh.
Cardins and the Levitts and the Higbees and Kelly Hansen and your group, and occasionally Larry Bruff, the Isoms would occasionally make it that far north if we wandered. So yeah, those were good old days, and yeah, that's what you did. You just
in '76, Robert Schertz pitched Cedar High to the state championship, and that today they wouldn't do that. I mean, he pitched a lot of innings.
Yeah,
and that was, I guess, before they really started looking at some of the injuries to arms and things, but. I think he's teaching seminary somewhere up north in Wyoming or Montana.
I haven't followed him. Yeah. Just one more quick story, and then I'll move on to athletics here just for a minute. But when I was going up to get an apartment to go to law school in 1976, the fall of 76, fall of 77. Yeah, fall of 77. And on our way back was the WAC track meet at BYU. That's when Utah and BYU and Arizona State, UTEP were all in the WAC.
Yeah.
And Cedar High had 4 athletes on BYU's team that year: Keenan Hart and Robert Schertz and Brad Jackson and Kim Nielsen, the high jumper.
High jumper.
So of their track and field team, I don't know how many have on it. I think here we have 31 31 starters, you might say, in track and field. So it'd have been about 30. 4 of them were from Cedar High. So that was fun.
Yeah, that was good. And Kim cleared 7 feet.
Yeah.
Maybe 7'1" when his senior year.
He in high school, and then he jumped like 7'4" or 7'5" at BYU.
Yeah.
So he was a big league high jumper.
He was.
But here's a fun fact for you. You'd remember this. I don't think very many others would. UTEP had a high jumper named Greg Joy, who was the Olympic silver medalist in '76.
Oh yeah,
Canadian, and he won the meet. He had, as I remember, it was 7'6". I might have to go back and look it up, but he was like world class. He was, like I say, silver medalist in the Olympics, and he was jumping for UTEP, and he was just, man, he was fun.
Gail Bradshaw was a priest leader when I was in that area in the 16 age group, and he took us to the big invitational, the BYU Invitational, and we saw a lot of track stars. That was a little before you, but those were fun times.
Those were good times.
And Gail would just pick up a car at Bradshaw Chevrolet, and we'd ride.
There you go. Huh. Good guy to have for your priest.
Yeah, he was a good one to have doing that for sure. And then he worked forever, and even after he retired, he would be there. I would talk to him about advertising on the local radio stations, and so.
And now Mark is, here we are. He's great supporters of the campus.
He is. He's a huge athletic supporter. He's awesome. And he's given a lot of money to that. And so have a lot of others to build the program.
Yeah, that's the thing. One of the things about athletics that I've been surprised, and I've said this a couple, 3 times. But I've been surprised on the one hand. how much difference a little bit of a donation makes. I mean, there are days where you have a need and you look at the books and it's just like,
where's it going to come
where's
from?
it going to come from? I don't know how we're going to do that,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's big and you have to plan. Sometimes it's, I don't want to say small because, but manageable, shall we say, but you still don't have it. And so sometimes 1,000 or two here and there will really go a long way in our department. And I've been so appreciative of the community members that, that's one thing we still have in Cedar City, I feel, is the relationship between the community and the athletic department. We're still us, it's not
right.
It's not athletics and community, it's us. And I still it's not exactly like it was when you and I were kids, but it's still a very great relationship, and the people have just stepped up, and I'm very appreciative. Every time we have a need, a few phone calls, it seems like we can kind of always pull it off. On the flip side of that, it's been a surprise how much money we need. I mean, we'll have the lowest budget in the Big Sky. Well, let's just say the lowest three. There's 13 schools in the Big Sky, and I don't know what they all are, and I don't know what the minutia are and the details, but we're among the lowest part of the budgets in the Big Sky, and so we really need a lot of money, and so the community has always been so awesome to help this university meet the needs that it has. And the community, the two things I heard the most, I was announced actually 2 weeks before I actually started, actually 2.5 weeks, because I needed time to finish up my core responsibilities, and I just couldn't do them both.
Go away, right?
Yeah, I thought I was going to just try to do them both, but we have strict rules governing judges as you'd expect, and I wasn't sure if I could really pull that off, and besides that, I wasn't sure I could do it justice. Pardon the pun. So I said I just need a month to get my core work all finished up, and in that period of time after I was announced, but before I started, the number one thing I heard was we need to get back in the Big Sky.
We should have.
And the number two thing I heard was we need to bring back baseball.
Baseball, yeah.
And so those are the two things that I heard the most from the community. People still know you, and not everybody, but enough people know me that I heard quite a bit, as you might expect. And so 8 days after I was announced, I think it was 12 maybe, we're back in the Big Sky. So done. Check it off. Coincidence? I don't think so. So I'm taking credit for that one. And baseball, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but now we're back in the Big Sky, which is and the Big Sky is just an awesome conference. And as I've talked to the student athletes, they will enjoy the travel schedule. I mean, right now, like you said, we're going in a couple of weeks to Eastern Kentucky, and the week after that, we're going to North Alabama, and already we've gone twice to Texas, and Stephenville, Texas is not an easy place.
Hard to get to. And now I mean, Missoula is not all that easy, but it's easier than Stephenville, Texas. Plus we've got Utah Tech, Northern Arizona, Idaho State, Weber State. So it's NAU.
It just fits our footprint so much better, and the schools are great schools. I mean, they're UC Davis, which is a football affiliate. I mean, they have a top shelf medical school and law schools, and Montana is the flagship school. Montana State are the two flagship state schools in their state, and Northern Colorado, where Ed Lamb is the football coach, is a great regional school like we are in the Northern Colorado, and so on. I could go on. Eastern Washington and Cheney. And the community knows this. We were a part of that conference for I think 8 years, or I'm not sure exactly, something like that. But to compete and do well in that conference is not an easy thing. They are good, and they're a lot like us in some ways. I mean, we all have to find funds where we can find it. So I'm hoping the community, and I'm confident the community will, step up. We all wanted to be in the Big Sky, and now we are back in the Big Sky. So, we need to step up and show that we mean it. We need to make sure that we come to the ball games, and financially, when the need arises, that we're willing to, maybe make a little sacrifice here and there to help our programs compete.
And the last year when St. George, Utah Tech played here, the football game right at the end of the year, it seemed like there were a lot of people there.
Yeah,
it was packed, and one of the biggest houses we ever had there was in '76 when Cedar High played Dixie.
Yeah, I remember. I was there.
And the place was packed.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
I was there.
And I remember people
Scott
saying...
Burns at quarterback and Brad
he was the
Blackner at wide
quarterback.
receiver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, Scott played for SUSC.
Yeah.
And his first game was at Adams State, and the bus broke down on the way. We got in there at
Those
about
were the
1
days,
o'clock in the
right?
morning.
Yeah.
We got everybody to bed, and then we had to get up early, 9 o'clock pregame, and the game was at 1 o'clock. And we ended up losing that game.
Yeah.
I won't tell you the score, but it was not close.
And I didn't mention when you asked me about the background that I was also an SU golfer.
I knew that, yeah.
And so we traveled. When we traveled, it was like one level lower than the football team's travel. It was like a station wagon with 6 golfers and 6 sets of clubs, all stuffed in, and a coach. And you just like you say, you'd leave late and drive all night, and that's just what you did.
77 was a great year for weather in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, because I don't think it ever snowed. And going over Wolf Creek Pass to get to Alamosa and some of those other places, Western State, up in the mountains.
Yeah,
and on the football field, it
Regis
says
in Denver. We just go to Denver.
Feet. Regis. And Colorado School
of Mines. Yeah.
And Jim Darden was the coach, and he had played at Wyoming when they won the NCAA tournament, second year that they played the basketball tournament. Oregon won the first year, and then Wyoming won the second.
Wow, that's
and he was on that Wyoming team. I talked to him, and he would always tell me about that. And it was, and that Rocky Mountain Conference was a good league to be in. And then Dixie was in it too, Utah Tech now, but they were in it after we left. So we hadn't played since '62, that fall of '62, in the rain in St. George when we won the Axe, and the Daryl Monahan quarterback ran into the end zone and downed the ball, and that made it 6-2. And then we punted, the free kick to him, and the defense held, and we won the game. And then the Axe disappeared for a long time, but the Battle of the Axe is back. So I don't know. I don't think
Ed Lamb, when Ed Lamb was the coach, we played Dixie.
Right. In 2009
and it was Dixie
and
then.
2010.
Yeah, it was Dixie then before Utah Tech. It was 2009, 2010. And that was when we were, I think, I'm not sure, Utah Tech.
The Great West Conference.
Yeah, we were Great West, and I don't remember what conference. I'm just trying to roll my mind what the conference they were in. I don't remember. It wasn't our conference, though. And then fast forward to now, and here we are back playing again. We played four times, I think, since we.
I think we're 5-1 against them since,
something like that.
But in the year in 21, when they just played that 6-game schedule, we didn't play Utah Tech in that. I was looking that up the other day. But
I can't remember that. I don't really, even though it's only
been
5 years ago, I don't really remember much about it.
In 22, we played them twice, here and there, because we didn't have enough games, and we won here, and then they won down there.
Yeah.
And so it was, but it's a long time from junior college. The old ICAC was the league, and Dixie and CSU and Ricks and Snow and Carbon, CEU, all competed against Weaver State and Boise State. I remember, I don't know if you'll enjoy this story, but Gus Johnson played for Boise State. He ended up playing with the Washington in the NBA.
The Bullets.
But he had tape on his wrists. Sorry, my hand's a little. And he would stand in the corner and shoot the ball, and it would go in from that corner. In the old War Memorial Fieldhouse. Was located about where we are right now.
Yeah, pretty close.
In the studio. And he just annihilated CSU. And I think Cleo Petty was probably the coach, and Neil Gardner's brother, Eric, was the quarterback of the football team. He played basketball, and a lot of those guys played a lot of sports, track and field or baseball. That's how it went. So what you did golf, but was that what you did in college?
Yeah, we were state champions in high school,
right.
1971, and three of us, Larry LaFrance, Jeff Carr, and I came. Now I might be wrong in this. I don't remember for sure, but as my recollection is now, 54 years later, I think we were the first scholarshiped golf athletes here at SUU, the three of us. Now, Lenny Olafson and those guys before us, he was 67, class of 67. They played here as well. I guess I ought to call him. Lenny and I still stay in touch. I should give him a call.
Where is Lenny now?
He's in Phoenix.
Is he?
In Phoenix. Yeah,
so he's
Phoenix.
Golfing down there a lot, I
plays
bet.
there all the time. Yeah. I guess I should ask him before I retell the story, but I'm going to tell it anyway and just take my chances. But as I remember, we were the first 3 scholarship athletes.
In 71.
In 71, yeah. We graduated in 71, so it would have been the fall of 71. And I'll have to check with Lenny. They might have been on scholarship, but I think we were the first ones. And then the next year, Lane Eisman, Kim Thompson, also from Cedar High.
Yeah, he was a great golfer.
Yeah, Kim was pro now in Northern Utah. He was a fabulous player, and but he was a year younger than us. So yeah, that's the Cedar High golf connection.
And did you play football at Cedar High?
No. The only sport I played was golf. I wanted to be the best basketball player on the planet, but just couldn't quite make it happen. So,
well, I remember playing on the basketball standards over at the South Elementary.
Yeah.
And this is something I remember. I don't think Mike Levitt would remember it, but he came and wanted to play with us with basketball, and we're 3 years older or so. But he was a pretty good little basketball player.
Yeah, Mike was a good basketball player. He played in class of 69, and I remember he was one of the famous 4 points behind with 4 seconds to play and came back and won. So that was his class and his game.
I remember that 69
well. 69, yeah. I don't remember if it was 69 or 70.
I think Tom Carden was on that team too.
Yeah, Tom Carden was. Yeah, I think as I remember, it was Tom that stole the inbound pass.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they scored 8 points in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Won the game.
Yeah, I think it was 6 in the last 10 seconds, 4 in the last 4 seconds. So I remember.
Got to make your free throws, right?
Yeah, you got to make your, my father-in-law, Joe.
It's interesting you say we're still at the bottom financially, but Stan Jack, when he was there in the 70s, he would always tell me, he'd say, Art, if we had one more scholarship, we would win this conference every year. Because he did win. And I think he won 20 games 4 years of the 9 years he was here.
Yeah, and in a way, that's kind of been our legacy. I mean, I think we have punched above our weight well for our entire, as long as I've known. Because Stan Jack was the coach when I was in college here. He coached Bernie Levitt and Kerry Rupp and Steve Hodson and those guys at least part of the time. I don't remember.
Davis
and so it hasn't changed in that regard. And I just hope the community, and I'm confident the community will, because like I say, I've already stated my affection for our community and our relationship, but the Big Sky is going to take all of us, just like it always has, and we're going to have to, and not just financially, although financially for sure, but to support and come out and you mentioned the attendance. The last game was a little down because we had a lot of competition with the Utah BYU game at exactly the same time.
That's always
a couple of state conferences in town, Deer Hunt weekend. There was Friday, Monday off for the high schools. So we had a lot of competition. So Monday, this past football game was a little off, but the first 3 are higher than we've ever had. I mean, I can count. I don't know that I ever really remember. But at our homecoming game, if you would have walked up and many people did walk up to buy a ticket, and we're told
you got in, right?
Told, sorry, we're sold out. We don't have any tickets left to sell, and that was standing room and the whole thing. So so the community has been fabulous so far. The first 4 games of our season, and hope they will continue to be that way. And confident they will. We play Austin Peay a week from Saturday here, and Austin Peay is a great university. Clarksville, Tennessee. They're a perennial strong, in every way, back in their conference, or in the ASUN, I think, is the conference they've been in. There's
been so much movement.
A lot of movement, and they're a great school and a great program. And I'm not sure how many realize it, but in football, every team we've played has been ranked. Except for the San Diego team, but Northern Arizona. Actually, I don't remember if they were ranked or not, but.
At the beginning, I think.
At the beginning, they were, and even if they weren't, they're a great program and a great football team. And then right down the line, Davis is like number 8 in the country right now. Tarleton's number 3 in the country right now. Abilene Christian, we just beat them last week, and they're number 13 in the country. West Georgia was number
They were right
16,
up
I think,
there.
when we
Yeah.
played them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this conference is, a lot of us hadn't really heard much about the names of the schools when we joined it, but man, it's a lot. There's a lot of strength in this conference, and as you know, we've lost 3 really close games and then beat Abilene Christian, number 13 in the country, last weekend. So even though we're 2-5, we are a really good football team and fun to watch.
That's really true.
Fun to watch. One of my boys told me, my son Mike, we watched. We're kind of standing down on the sideline watching the end of that Northern Arizona game, and it was 52-51, I think.
Overtime game.
Yeah.
Was that overtime?
No, that's the one where they went for the 2-point conversion
Yeah.
at the end, and won 52-51. And I mean, and Mike said that is the funnest football game I have ever been to in my life. I mean, it was just back and forth and slugging it out. So even though we're 2-5, man, that's a great product we're putting on the field, and the players try hard and play hard. And that's the same with volleyball. Our record is 2-14, I think, or something like that. So you look at it on paper, 2-14 is not maybe where you'd want to be, but those young ladies, they fight hard and they play hard, and they're fun. I mean, they are so fun to watch. And in soccer, we just had a great week last week in soccer. They won one and tied one against those 2 great Texas teams, so yeah, the programs are really awesome, and we really appreciate the support, not just financially, but come in and enjoy it. I guarantee, you come and watch a volleyball game or a soccer game and you don't enjoy it, I'll buy you dinner. I mean, I suppose I can't really stick to that exactly. It's metaphorically speaking, I guess you would say. We have great sports here at SUU, and so fun. And to me, that's been the best thing. I mean, it's been, the daily challenges that you fight on all the fronts I mentioned a little while ago, to try to get your programs where they need to be, both now and looking forward. And man, you go to a fought-out volleyball game and an NAU versus SUU football game and a soccer game like we had, and the other we're just coming up, starting tonight. Men's basketball renews their game against Westminster. Those of you remember the Gary Barber and all those players from Westminster, and we're renewing that tonight at 6:30 here in the AFEX. So nothing to do. Come on out and watch SUU and at Westminster and flash back to the good old days.
And Robert Dunlea made a pair of free throws in Salt Lake one night to beat Westminster by 56-54.
No kidding.
In Salt Lake. And I think, let's see, I rode home with Red Dog Dover.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great supporter.
Yeah, he was an awesome supporter.
Well, Tom, it looks like we're about out of time, but appreciate you coming and spending your time. I know your time's valuable, and you have a lot of eggs to fry.
Yeah, no
there
problem.
You go,
It's been a fun stroll down memory lane, Art. Thank you.
Yeah,
been a good time.
You.
So
that'll wrap it up with Athletic Director Tom Higbee. I know a lot of people would like to see you stay, but you're thinking of retirement.
Yeah, I've, like you say, other eggs to fry. So,
well, thanks for being
But I'll always be a
Appreciate
booster and supporter, and the lifelong fan that I have been. So,
yeah, it's been great times, and all the way from the neighborhood to SUU.
Yeah, from the hood to SUU. There you go. Should write a book.
All right,
thanks Art.
A lot.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.